Alright, this is Green Lanterns 53 by Ron Marz and Dime Bank Darryl. This is 53, which means it is the third issue starring the Kyle Reese version of Green Lanterns. And only 3 issues in, he already needs another hero to save his bacon. Based on his first few stories, Kyle Reese is an utter failure of a hero. He is a real fuck-up. It's not until after 0 hours Christmas in Time that he finally starts winning his fights. In the previous issue, he got trounced by Mongoloid. The Superman bad guy, Mongoloid. Ricky Gervais's favourite words, Mongoloid. Lucky for Kyle Reese, Superman shows up and punches Mongoloid so hard that it takes up 2 pages. And down there is Kyle Reese's girlfriend. She will be dismembered and stuffed into a fridge in the next issue. The thing about Ron Marz scripts is that most of the time they are flimsy. There's not much meat on the bones. There's not much dialogue that isn't characters loudly proclaiming something. There is always questionable handling of women, but to acknowledge that is to lend credence to Gail Simon's bullshit. So Ron Marz he gets a free pass a lot of the time. There's really uneven parts, like the girlfriend in this. She doesn't do anything. She just shouts out Kyle's name, completely blown his secret identity, but that is never admitted. She orbits a fight, but somehow is never in any danger. We are still in the early days of Kyle Reese's career as a superhero, so he isn't very skilled or trained to fight. And he really only gets in the way of Superman beating a bad guy. This is a brainless issue. You have to let your brain go into standby mode, or you cannot really enjoy this. You're not missing any subtext or pathos. This is a big fight issue. You need to lower your brain activity, or you will notice there are problems. There's even artistic problems that we will come to. But a lot of Ron Marz stories are like this. Big blockbuster fights. Oh no, Kyle Reese is drowning. But nah, he's fine. I will quickly explain Kyle Reese for anyone who slept through the 90s. Kyle Reese took over the book with issue 51. He became the new Green Lanterns. He became the only Green Lanterns because, you see, starting in issue 48, Jordan Albert had a breakdown. His home city had been genocided, uncoincidentally enough, by Mongoloids. That issue also features the first appearance of Kal-El, a little cameo at the end. Jordan Albert snapped and felt betrayed by the Smurfs, who were mostly unsympathetic to his loss and wouldn't allow him to use his ring to try and fix things or get revenge. Jordan Albert went evil and murdered nearly all of the Green Lanterns and all the Smurfs. Cheerful. The last Green Lantern's ring found its way to Kyle Reese, and he became the new Green Lanterns. I understand people's absolute disdain for Jordan Albert, Ganon Evil, but I personally think it is great. It is one of the very few major hero characters whose turn to evil feels not only more interesting than his usual character, but it feels unintentionally supported by dozens of back issues. Jordan Albert, in hard comics, you can see him being petty, you can see him being a stubborn arsehole, you can see his ego. He was always very selfish, and there was his bitter jealousy whenever anyone else took over his role. He always resented anyone taking what he perceived as his, and this extends to his girlfriend. His treatment of his girlfriend over the years was consistently horrible. He would destroy her life. He would drive her crazy to the point of her becoming evil. But she would always be written back into a relationship with him because of familiarity. And I'm not even going to get into the grooming debate or any of the other shady shit that he has done over the years. To me, Jordan Albert, Ganon Evil was great. It made reading about him not boring, and it made all these hard comics with him in less boring. But I understand people being upset to see a character they have spent 30 years reading about gone off the deep end and so resoundingly become irredeemable. If you are very upset, it's okay. A shit writer retconned it all in the most worst way possible. The art here is by Dimebank Darryl. And Dimebank Darryl is great at drawing static pin-ups of characters. As an interior artist, he has two critical problems. First is the backgrounds. There is either never any background, or there will be an incredibly simple background. The other is his action poses are very, very janky. He understands anatomy somewhat. You can see that in his splash pages or his covers. But when a character is in action, their bodies, or at least their limbs, are very broken. I preferred Paulie Pelletgun on the title. He was like the resident fill-in artist for Dimebank Darryl on Green Lanterns. From about issue 60 to 100. If the issue didn't have Dimebank Darryl on art, it usually had Paulie Pelletgun. And if it didn't have Paulie Pelletgun, they gave up and got Tom Grindbergers. There is not much to talk about here. It is a fight issue. Superman's mullet is there, so that is fun. We also established that Green Lantern's ring is no longer weak to the colour yellow. This is said in some tremendously terrible scripting, and we see a lot of that this issue with characters freeze framing mid-fight to have a sidebar, especially anything with the girlfriend. Kyle Reese, he wins the fight by using his ring to make a giant train eat mongoloids. And seeing Superman and Kyle Reese meet for the first time and interact, I like seeing that. The issue ends with 3 pages of setup for the next issue. The infamous fridge issue. An issue that we should all hate. Not for its treatment of women, but for a talentless ag milking it to mine a career in comics as a writer who respects women. The bad guy is Major Tom from Captain Atamant. How dare a sleazy, evil psychopath murder a woman? That is so sexist. This is an issue for someone to pass the time with. You're not going to have much to think about, and thinking about it is actually strongly not recommended from me. If you think about this for longer than 10 seconds, you're not enjoying it. This is a comic that is perfect for a hospital stay when you are on morphine. Kyle Reese is a bit bland, but he is a far better lead than Jordan Albert ever was. 7 thumbs up.